Here's what awaits your earholes in this episode of 3 Shots In.
This is a cult that is in Japan. The group had an assassination list. They wiretapped police. Cult members sprayed large amounts of Bacillus anthracis spores that they would cause an anthrax epidemic.
What the fuck? Began to inflict punishments on followers that he considered to be straying, castrated a mentally unstable man, and told his followers to tell everybody that he'd lost his dick and balls in a horse trampling accident.
You can lose your dick and balls on a horse accident?
They can be squashed into such jelly.
This is 3 Shots In.
And today, we're talking about... Hey everyone, welcome back to 3 Shots In. I'm Jake.
I'm Jess, and this is episode 35.
Episode 35, and we're talking about one of our most favorite things, cults. Love them.
In honor of it, I'm wearing my...
Your Dan Cummins cult shirt. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can only buy it if you're a space lizard.
Is that a member of his...
That's what he calls, his
patrons?
Yeah, you can be a member of the secret suck.
That motherfucker puts out so many podcasts.
I know. He's awesome.
Yeah, he sounds pretty cool. We're cooler, though, and our patrons are way better than his, including you.
Oh, okay.
Patrons are way more awesome. Thanks, patrons, for supporting us and not Dan Cummins.
Yes, thank you so much for supporting us.
See, I thought it...
Did you need to peek at your notes?
Yeah, I always look at my notes. I was like, oh, y'all don't need to. I say the same thing every fucking time.
No, this episode's going to be a little bit different. So we're talking about cults. That is a topic that there's just a lot going on in each one. So Jake and I both did a lot of research on this week's topic, and it's going to be a long one. We're going to skip over the updates that we would usually do in the beginning, and we're also going to skip over the wheel spins.
Yeah, there is no wheel for this episode.
Right.
But that's because
you can see that it's not here now.
Yeah.
Today.
We had to remove it.
Right.
But it needed a tune-up. Mm-hmm. But yes, no, our stories are going to be extensive.
Yeah.
And in order to, not have this episode be 2+ hours, we got rid of all the extra stuff so that we can just dive right into it.
Right.
Should I do that?
Do what?
Should I just dive right in?
Well, yeah. Jake's going first. What cult did you choose?
So I chose the Shinrikyo cult.
Shinrikyo?
Yes, I'm almost definitely pronouncing that wrong, and I will almost definitely pronounce everything else that you hear wrong, because this is a cult that is in Japan.
Okay.
I broke this down into 4 parts. Part 1 is the beginning. So this was founded by Chizuo Matsumoto in 1987 in his small apartment in Tokyo's Shibuya ward.
Whoa.
Meetings for this cult began as yoga and meditation classes.
That sounds harmless.
Of course, they were known as the Omu Shinsen no Kai, which loosely translates to Immortal Mountain Wizard Association.
I would love to be a part of that.
You would go and do yoga at the Immortal Mountain Wizard Association, would you not?
Of course I would.
Of course. Well, they gained official status as a religious organization in 1989.
The Immortal Mountain Wizards?
They are the Shinrikyo, which does not mean the Immortal Mountain Wizard Association. That's what the Omu Shinsen no Kai.
Oh.
Okay, those were the classes. So they attracted many graduates from Japan's elite universities, similar to the United States' like Ivy League schools. In Japan, a lot of those graduates would join this cult. It was dubbed a religion for the elite.
Whoa.
So think like Scientology. You know what I mean?
So did the Smarties just flock to them, or did they seek them out?
They did do very good marketing.
So they were after that money.
They're after the money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you will learn why. But first we're going to learn about part 2, the doctrine of this cult. Because all cults have some beliefs that are the same, but a lot of things that are different or unique. So here we go. So Shinrikyo translates to the supreme truth. They used he used, the founder, many religious beliefs. He took like a bunch of them and combined them into his own, including Indian Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, something he calls Christian millennialist ideas.
Just new agey,
Kinda.
funky stuff.
Sure. The writings of Nostradamus, and of course, the theory and practice of yoga.
Wow.
Okay.
That's an interesting mix.
So I threw in Hinduism in there. Really, the only thing they had was that the Hindu goddess of destruction, Shiva, that was their main image of worship.
They worshipped Shiva.
Yes, the goddess of destruction. She has 4 arms,
Right. Yes, I remember.
very destructive. In 1992, the leader Chizuo Matsumoto, he changed his name to Shoko Asahara. Don't know why, but he did. So Asahara published the group's foundational book where he declared himself to be Christ. He also said that he was Japan's only fully enlightened master, and he identified himself as the Lamb of God. Okay.
Christ.
Right. Yes. So Asahara's mission was to take upon himself the sins of the world. And for his followers, he could transfer spiritual power to them as well as take away their sins and their bad deeds.
Very generous.
Very, very generous. Well, Asahara, he described that there would be a final conflict in the world culminating in a nuclear Armageddon.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
This is a doomsday cult, right? All the good ones are.
What?
I know. And all the fun ones are, that humanity would end except for the few that would join the Shinrikyo. They would survive
Right.
because they know it's coming. And it was their mission to spread the word of salvation so that more could survive the end times. Right? It's very kind of
That's
them.
nice.
Very gracious
You
even.
want everyone to survive.
Yeah. It was predicted that the Armageddon would happen in 1997. So clearly they were wrong. They said that the beast, as in the beast from the book of Revelation,
Oh, no.
was in fact the United States.
Okay.
Okay. And that the U.S. would instigate a third world war that would lead to the attack and eventual destruction of Japan. Apparently, they believed that in World War III, we will just nuke them into oblivion. But who knows? Maybe we will.
I mean, historically,
First
makes sense.
First World War, not 1 nuke. Second World War, 2. Third World War, probably at least 14. You know what I mean?
you think so?
Yeah, just ramp it up exponentially and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he definitely thinks so. And so they were to spread the word the only way that they knew how, through violence.
Oh, wow.
This was how they would spread the word of salvation.
Does send a strong message. I just don't know that it's a loving, kind, or peaceful one.
They never claimed to be loving,
necessarily.
kind, or peaceful.
He did say he was Jesus. There
He
was
said
that.
they're bringing about peace.
This is
And
this
we'll
is
explain.
the way. This is the way we get it.
Jessica, if you would just listen to the rest of the doctrine, perhaps you would understand these things.
Oh,
You wouldn't need to ask so many questions.
okay, all right.
So by bringing about the end of the world, that was what they were going to do now, they would restore Shobo. Shobo is essentially the Buddhist version of paradise. So think like when, in Genesis, right, in the Bible,
Sure.
right, everything's peaceful.
Yeah.
They like literally just cannot sin.
Yeah.
That is how the Buddhists describe like the first like age of man. Peaceful and
Sinless.
sinless.
Unsinful was
I was
that-
going to say unsinful. Yeah. So they're trying to bring about Shobo, Jessica.
a worthy cause.
It is. And they also believed that by killing someone that was contrary to their goals, that they would prevent them from accumulating bad karma, thus saving them.
Oh, I see. So the murdering was actually a mercy.
It was. It was so that their spirit could live on in Shobo when they bring it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Salvation Plan claimed that they could cure physical illnesses.
They all could?
No, that by joining the Shinrikyo, you could have your physical illnesses cured. They would also improve your intelligence and all sorts of other things that they would promise that they could do. Because of this, Shinrikyo became one of the fastest growing religious groups in Japan's history. They grew large.
Those are very attractive
They
rewards.
got, like we said, all of the elite college graduates, tons of like very wealthy people,
Yeah.
and a lot of cops for some reason.
Policemen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were building a small army. They also converted, like, I guess, like Japan has their own, like, militias. Ton of militia people in Japan joined the Shinrikyo.
How strange.
Very. So we're moving on to part 3 now. The pursuit of salvation, okay, as I've dubbed it. So accusations against the group started in the late 80s. Things like deception of new recruits.
Okay.
Apparently they lied to them and they couldn't
No way.
physically cure them.
What?
Holding cult members against their wills.
Oh, no.
Forcing members to donate money to the group. And murdering a cult member who tried to leave in February of 1989.
Well, why did he want to leave?
I have no idea. But these accusations were made public. And because of that, it caught the attention of a renowned anti-cult lawyer, Tsutsumi Sakamoto.
Ooh, that's a cool name.
Yes. So apparently they have an anti-cult lawyer. Maybe Japan had a lot of cults after World War II, which kind of makes sense.
I feel like everywhere has had a lot of cults.
Well, no, but like specifically after World War II, like they've had 2 nukes go off. Like the country was in misrepair. Like I feel
Disrepair.
I feel like that would be prime pickings for cults.
Well, yeah, it's probably easier to imagine what the end of the world would look like when, something that terrible has happened.
When 2 of your cities have been leveled
Yeah,
in like 48 hours.
just makes it more tangible. You can picture it a little better.
Well, Sakamoto intended to begin a lawsuit against the Shinrikyo that would, at the very least, bankrupt them. That was his goal.
Take
So
away their money.
at the best, he would bring criminal charges and get them, disbanded and all this stuff. At the very least, he would bankrupt them with the lawsuits. Sakamoto recorded an interview with a Japanese talk show that was basically outlining his intentions. Once the interview would go public, he would bring in all of his charges and his lawsuits and whatever. Well, remember, they have a lot of wealthy people as part of their organization.
And a lot of them are cops.
Apparently, someone also at the head of this network who secretly showed the interview to the cult. The cult urged for the network not to show the interview on TV, and they obliged. They did not.
Whoa.
And the very next month, Sakamoto and his family went missing.
No. Oh, that's
Remember,
so
this is in
sad.
let's see, late 80s, so almost 90s, but not.
There was just a lot of cult stuff going on.
It wouldn't be until 1995 when they would discover the bodies of Sakamoto and his family. They had been murdered and dumped by the cult.
Damn.
Yeah, that's just the beginning. We're going to get into so many more things. So the group had something you might call an assassination list.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Now, this was just a little list with assassination list written on the top. It was just a list of names.
Oh, they titled it appropriately so that you knew what kind of list it was.
I imagine they did it like in Kill Bill, like when she's on the plane and like it's like assassination list and then she writes their names. I imagine it's like that.
Okay.
This was a list of individuals that were critical of the cult, and they would all, be dead, including the heads of a Buddhist sect, the head of the Institute for Research in Human Happiness, which I guess is a thing, and satire cartoonist Yoshinori Kobayashi.
Is it because he satired
He satired them with cartoons, and they were like, add him to the list. They actually did attempt to assassinate him.
Oh my God.
In 93. It failed, but still. In 1991, the Shinrikyo began wiretapping. So essentially they were trying to, they wiretapped police and all sorts of stuff so that they could get
slippery little spies.
So they could better steal things and better acquire things for the cult. They got uniforms from all sorts of different places.
They stole uniforms?
Yeah, so that they can walk in.
Oh, I thought you
No,
you meant uniforms so that you can tell they're from the cult.
No, think if they stole a uniform for a security guard at a Navy base.
I got you.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's not what they did.
Disguises.
Yeah, so that they could do little sneaky things. Well, in July of 93, cult members sprayed large amounts of liquid containing Bacillus anthracis spores, which is anthrax.
Yes.
The spores contain anthrax. And they sprayed this on the roof of the Shinrikyo's Tokyo headquarters. If you recall, that was an apartment. So they sprayed it on the top of the building in the hopes that they would cause an anthrax epidemic in Tokyo. It failed. The only reason that people knew it was there is because there were a lot of complaints of bad odors in the building.
So it was stinky.
It was just a little stinky.
Nobody died.
Nobody got anthrax and
good.
died. Yeah.
That's pretty fucking extreme, though.
Yeah, dude.
damn.
Anthrax is brutal. Not as brutal as the next bit because anthrax didn't work. So they needed something that worked, you know?
Okay.
So near the end of 93, they began secretly manufacturing sarin and later VX. Okay. Now, I wanted to make sure that we had the exact definitions of this. Have you ever heard of sarin gas?
Yes, but I have forgotten what it does. I know it's very dangerous, but...
So it is a colorless, odorless liquid used as a chemical weapon due to its extreme potency as a nerve agent. Exposure is lethal even at very low concentrations where death can occur with 1 to 10 minutes after direct inhalation of a lethal dose. Yeah, sarin gas is brutal.
Does it say what a lethal dose is?
I didn't go into all that, but it's very small.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
It's very small. And VX is also a nerve agent, but it's more deadly, but less easy to spread, if that makes sense. Like it is a liquid and it needs to have skin contact, whereas sarin gas,
Is
the
airborne.
gas you can breathe it in, you can be touched by it,
Right.
and you'll still catch it. VX is like I said, more potent, but way less easy
So
to
these are
use it.
neurotoxins?
Nerve toxins or nerve agents. Yes, they're very brutal and were banned by every country.
Yeah.
With like the Geneva Accords and all that shit. If that's what those are. I think I'm right. I don't know. Well, they tested their sarin on sheep on a remote property in Western Australia.
Oh, the sheep.
So they got it
to Australia
They
to do
went to
this?
Australia so that they could do this, test it, and not have it anywhere near their own government. They successfully killed 29 sheep. So, RIP sheep. Well, this cult would go on to use sarin and VX in several assassination attempts from 94 to 95. Bless you.
Okay. I'm ready.
3 sneezes is a little much, but anyway.
I sneezed 8 times the other day.
The night of June 27th, 1994, the Shinrikyos drove a converted refrigerator truck into the central Japanese city of Matsumoto, Nagano. Okay? Where they released a cloud of sarin
No.
near the homes of judges who were overseeing a lawsuit over a real estate battle that was expected to go against the cult.
A real estate battle and you break out the sarin gas?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep. In an entire neighborhood. Dubbed the Matsumoto incident, it killed 8 people,
Okay.
but significantly harmed 500 more.
Oh my God.
And we're talking nerve toxins. Like these people probably lost their sight. Maybe they lost functionality of their limbs. It's destructive. Apparently, if you survive like a high dose, you're basically in just a coma. Like it shuts your whole shit down.
That's terrible.
It's really bad. So police, luckily, focused in on Yoshiyuki Kouno, who was a local resident of the area and had nothing to do with the cult. They failed to implicate the cult at all. In fact, they would not know that the Matsumoto incident was orchestrated by the cult until years later, when one of the cult members confessed to it. Yeah. Police they focused in and arrested a man named Yoshiyuko
Whoa.
for the crime. Yeah, pretty bad. So maybe it was his goons. Maybe the cult's goons were around that. Who knows?
You said they had members in the police.
They
So
did.
maybe they diverted
Perhaps.
or something.
I don't think so. I just think that they had no leads. And this guy, everyone in the neighborhood was like, oh yeah, he threatened to kill us all.
He killed my...
Something like
Dog
that.
or-
Like, oh, he was just an angry guy in the neighborhood and he was, a killer or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. At the end of 1994, they broke into the Hiroshima factory of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries.
Okay.
This was a company, a factory that would build military weapons for the Japanese government.
Yikes.
They were attempting to steal technical documents, so the blueprints, for military weapons, such as things like tanks and heavy artillery.
How would they even build that?
Dude, they have a fuck ton of money.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, you're not remembering that part. They have
true.
millionaires in their cult.
My word.
December of 94 is when they began using VX to attack 3 specific people. We know that this was the cult. There were plenty of other deaths that they have claimed after the fact, but you still can't really prove that it was them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, Noboru Mizuno was left in critical condition after he was attacked using VX. He was targeted because the group suspected him of protecting a former cult member.
Suspected?
He was suspected.
That's all it took?
That's all it took. Hiroyuki Nagaoka was killed with VX because they expected that he was harboring a former member of the cult. Tadahito Hamaguchi, however, was targeted after Shoko Asara, the leader, believed him to be a spy. He believed him to be a police informant.
Oh, was he like an active member at the time?
Yes, of the cult.
Okay. But these were all just off of suspicion? Mm-hmm. Wow.
The leader said it, and they just did it. So Hamaguchi, they used VX. Essentially, they put like less than a milliliter. Like it was like 100 grams of this or whatever.
Okay.
Or no, that's too much. It was a very.
Even less than that?
Basically they had like a syringe filled with VX, and they walked up behind him and they just sprayed it on the back of his neck. Then they ran away. Now he knew what they just did because he was a member of the cult, so he starts chasing them. He got about 100 yards before he collapsed, fell into a deep coma, and died 10 days later, not waking up at all in between there.
Boy.
Yes. In February of 1995, the cult kidnapped Kiyoshi Kuraya. This was the brother of an escaped cult member. His sister was a member of the cult. He's not young. He's like 69 years old. Anyway, he was taken to their compound in Kamikuashiki near Mount Fuji, okay, where he was killed. His corpse was destroyed in a microwave-powered incinerator.
Okay.
I've never even heard of that.
What does that mean?
Don't know. I just imagine it's a microwave.
Like a regular incinerator, but...
Imagine microwave technology, but way bigger, like room-sized.
But what would it be used for? For like incinerating garbage or something?
I don't know. They used it on his body, and then they dumped the remnants of
Goop
what was
afterwards?
there into Lake Kawaguchi.
My God.
Yes. Before he was kidnapped, however, he was a genius. They had been calling him and making threats to him that, they would murder him and all this stuff if he didn't give them back his sister.
Okay.
Because they really didn't care about him. They just wanted to find and kill his sister.
Right.
But he wasn't about it. And in his house, police found a note when he went missing. They found a note in his home saying, "If I disappear, I was abducted by Aum Shinrikyo." Well, they had already had suspicions about this organization, so police made plans to begin raiding the cult facilities throughout Japan, beginning in March of 95, so the very next month. But unfortunately, Asahara was tipped off of the upcoming raids. So he ordered for the police to be distracted.
Oh, no.
And you know how this cult likes to distract people. Yeah. The morning of March 20th, 1995, you have talked about this once. The Aum Shinrikyo members released sarin in a coordinated attack on 5 trains in the Tokyo subway system, only killing 13, seriously injuring only 54, and affecting at least 980 more people, though they believe it's closer to 6,000. It just means that those people just didn't go to the hospital.
Like they suffered
like minor effects.
Minor enough.
And ran away and then just went home or whatever, didn't end up going to the hospital.
Okay.
Yes. And also apparently people were terrified to go to the hospital and report that they were in the attack because they thought
well, look at how fucking savage they've been.
They thought that retaliation would come against them.
Jesus.
So the plan to distract the police, however, it backfired because now the police in the entire country were going to be working together to raid the cult all on the same day.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fuck you guys.
Which brings us to part 4, the fall. Okay. So over the next week, a full-scale raid on all of their activities was organized. The cult's headquarters in Kamikuashiki on the foot of Mount Fuji, police found explosives, chemical weapons, a Russian, I'm not going to say the title of it because I don't know how to say it, but a Russian military helicopter So like with guns and everything. And apparently they also found anthrax and Ebola cultures.
Ebola?
Ebola cultures.
You broke out Ebola?
There were stockpiles of chemicals that would be used, or that could be used to produce enough sarin to kill approximately 4 million people.
For what?
Apparently, they also were trying to create their own, they were trying to mass produce their own AK-74s, which was the
Guns.
like go-to gun in the Russian military. They had the blueprints for the gun and had successfully created one, and it looks like that was their next thing, was going to be creating thousands of
Mass
these rifles,
producing, yeah.
so that every one of their members could be armed with an assault rifle, a fully automatic assault rifle, by the way.
What the fuck?
Police also found laboratories that were manufacturing drugs such as LSD and methamphetamine. A crude form of truth serum as well was also being manufactured.
It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. Truth serum?
Really fucked up, but like,
They found a safe that contained millions of US dollars in cash and millions of dollars in gold. They found cells, like prison cells, many still containing prisoners.
oh my God.
Over the next 6 weeks, over 150 cult members were arrested for a bunch of different reasons, but that they were arresting them for whatever they could.
Probably all good reasons.
Just to arrest them.
Right.
Yeah. On March 30th of 1995, Takagi Kunimatsu, which is the chief of the National Police Agency, was shot 4 times near his house in Tokyo, seriously wounding him. He didn't die.
Oh, thank God.
But they tried to assassinate him
my God.
because he was organizing all this against them. On April 23rd of 1995, Hideo Murai, the head of the Alms Ministry of Science, was stabbed to death outside of the cult's Tokyo headquarters amidst a crowd of about 100 reporters
What did he do?
in front of cameras. First of all, he was part of the cult.
oh,
Yeah, he was the head of their Ministry of Science. He was the one making the sarin gas, probably.
oh, okay. So why'd they kill him?
He was stabbed to death. The man responsible was a Korean member of Yamaguchi Gumi. They don't really know. It says he was arrested, eventually convicted of murder. His motive remains unknown.
I mean, he's the sarin gas maker. Sounds
Yeah.
like he had it coming.
He definitely had it coming. On the evening of May the 5th, a burning paper bag was discovered in a toilet in Tokyo's busy...
What's in here?
in Tokyo's very busy, very populated Shinjuku station. Upon examination, it was revealed that it was a hydrogen cyanide device, which had it not been extinguished in time, would have released enough gas into the ventilation system to kill approximately 10,000 people.
What the fuck?
On July 4th, several undetonated cyanide devices were found at other locations in the Tokyo subway. They were just going balls to the wall, all or nothing.
Oh my God.
So Asahara, which was the leader of this cult, was finally found. He was hiding in a wall in one of the cult buildings that was known as the Sixth Sation?
Sation?
S-A-T-I-A-N? Satian? I don't know.
Sation sounds fine.
On May 16th, he was arrested. On the very same day, the cult mailed a parcel bomb to the office of Yukio Aoshima, who was the governor of Tokyo, blowing off the fingers of his secretary's hand.
Oh no. Oh no.
His secretary was just doing her job and got her fingers blown off because they tried to assassinate
This needs
him.
to end. Fuck them up.
Asahara was initially charged with 23 counts of murder and 16 other offenses. In Japan, it was the trial of the century. It was the biggest thing. Everyone was watching it. They had ruled Asahara guilty of masterminding the attack and sentenced him to death. The indictment was appealed, but it failed. The appeal failed. He was still to be sentenced to death. A number of senior members accused of participation, such as Masami Tsuchiya, also received the death sentence.
Well, good.
In a response to the prosecution's charge that Asahara ordered the subway attacks to distract authorities, the defense attorney maintained that he was not aware of the events, and he pointed to his deteriorating health. Obviously, he couldn't have known things were going to happen. He's dying. His health is bad.
What's that got to do with him not knowing?
Doesn't matter. It's just their stupid
They're
defense.
desperate.
Yeah.
They're grasping at straws.
Shortly after his arrest, though, Asahara abandoned his post as the organization's leader and he maintained silence afterward, refusing to communicate with members of his cult, his lawyers, and even his family. Just didn't talk to anybody.
When was he put to death?
Well, he was given the death sentence in either 95 or 96. Still hasn't died, according to this article, but we'll get into that. It'll happen eventually.
Okay.
In fact, it did happen. We're just not there yet in our timeline.
Oh, I see.
Timeline of events.
Gotcha.
Maybe we don't ask questions about the future.
Sorry.
Stop throwing things.
I didn't.
On October 10th in 95, Shinrikyo was officially stripped of its status as a religious legal entity, and they declared bankruptcy in 96. However, the group continued to operate under the constitutional guarantee of freedom of religion, and they were continuously funded by a successful computer business, which they left out the name of. Makes me think we know what it is.
I know of one successful computer business
in Japan. And they received many donations under, they were to be under strict surveillance also. Attempts to ban them just failed, didn't work. Lawsuits just failed because technically they weren't doing anything illegal anymore. It wasn't illegal to exist. It was illegal to, try to murder people. The group underwent a whole bunch of transformations in the aftermath of Asahara's arrest. For a brief time, though, his two preteen sons officially replaced him as guru.
The preteens?
The preteens.
Oh my gosh.
And they renamed the group Aleph.
Ah.
Which is, I think they said it's the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So maybe they're trying something new. I don't know. Didn't really matter. Fumihiro Joyu, one of the senior leaders of the group, did not face serious charges. He became the official head of the organization in 99. And apparently, he was unliked because he was murdered in 2002.
Well, that is historically how they handle things.
Yeah.
We can't just say we don't like you and we want you to stop. Cut out the middleman.
Just end him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was leading a group of murderers.
I'm not sad that he died. I'm just saying, obviously they were going to handle it that way.
Well, for over 15 years, 3 fugitives were being actively sought. They had not been arrested. On December 31st, 2011, Makoto Hirata surrendered himself to the police. He was arrested on suspicion of being involved in the abduction of Kiyoshi. On June 3rd, 2012, police captured Naoko Kikuchi from a tip from local residents. He was also involved with the sarin gas attacks. Mm-hmm. And acting on information after they captured Kikuchi, they were able to find the last remaining fugitive, Kitsuya Takahashi, who was captured on June 15, 2012. He was allegedly the driver in the Tokyo gas attacks and had been successfully on the run for 17 years before they finally got him. On July 6, 2018, Asahara and 6 other Shinrikyo members were executed by hanging in Japan. Japan's Justice Minister, Yoko Kamikawa, stated that the crimes, quote, plunged people not only in Japan, but in other countries as well into deadly fear and shook society to its core. Apparently, he was criticized in Japan because the death penalty was very rare in Japan. Executions were they just didn't happen.
Okay.
But he didn't give a fuck. And he was like, no, these fuckers will hang and die.
Stand true. Kill their asses.
Mm-hmm. And so that was 7 people executed on July 6th. And 20 days later, on July 26th, the 6 remaining Shinrikyo members were also all executed. And apparently, according to his will, Shoko Asahara's ashes were to be collected by his youngest daughter. And she said she had urged every one of the members of the cult and his family to put an end to their shenanigans and stop hating society. However, the prison said that the ashes will be kept at the detention center for the time being for fears of reprisals from other elements of the cult. They think that they'll worship his ashes or something and do terrible things again.
I mean, he was Christ.
He was.
At claim at least.
Yes. So I also saw that up until 2022, the United States had recognized Shinrikyo as a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Until in 2022, the State Department finally took them off the list because essentially they were like, they are so small beans or barely exist, if they still do, they can be removed from the list.
It's been a long time now.
I mean, since all of them were arrested, it's been, I mean, since that's before I was even born. That was 28 years ago.
40 years if it started in the 80s.
Since the beginning of the cult. But from the sarin attack was in March of 95. That was 2 years before I was even born.
And you're like really
28,
old now.
29 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 28, 29 years had passed until the U.S. was like, okay, they're no longer terrorists. They no longer think that we're the beast from the Book of Revelations.
I mean, they may still, but, you know, they're less sarin gassy about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
They're probably way more into yoga now, you know?
Really, that's the best thing to fall back on, probably. Damn.
So what was it called? It was my favorite part of the entire thing was the Omu Shinsen no Kai. The Immortal Mountain Wizard Association.
I love it.
That was my favorite part of all of this research.
Immortal Mountain Wizards.
I loved it. Yeah, they're absolutely fucking crazy. And you know, it was interesting though. I didn't read anything about the cult that said that the main guy, Asahara,
Yeah.
that he was super into sex or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing said anything about
A
that.
lot of them are really sexually weird.
That's almost like the main thing in a cult is like, hey, do you want to be saved and are a woman? Well, I can save you with my cock.
With my penis.
That's how they normally get down to business.
Yeah. They literally get down to business.
Even in Mandy with Jeremiah.
Yeah.
was all about the sex.
Everybody's got to bend over for Jeremiah if you want to be saved.
Did Manson have sex with his women? I think he did.
Yeah. He
Right?
did.
Yeah.
Anyone he actually wanted anyway. I don't know that was everybody. He also claimed to be Christ and also believed the end of the world was, you know, imminent.
Was nigh.
It was quite nigh.
Okay. Well, let's do a very quick break, refill our beverages, take a little piddle.
Real quick, we didn't actually say what we were drinking. I totally forgot.
Well, yeah, sorry. I was too focused on like trying to get started.
Oh no,
And
yeah.
My notes were, all the way over there.
It's okay. I mean, while we're at it, I'm going to go make another one, but I had one of the little agua fresca drinks we've been making for ourselves, but this time I got a little crazy, got a little wild.
Got a little weird with it.
Mm-hmm. I mixed hibiscus and pineapple.
Whoa.
I
So you got
know.
a pineapple hibiscus vodka?
I did. It was delicious. Cannot wait to have another one.
Sounds really good. I cannot wait to refill this bad boy. This is the elderflower mead made by one of our biggest fans, John.
John,
Yes.
the booze maker.
Yeah. He
These are-
definitely did something nasty to it.
These
Not
are-
that it tastes nasty. It tastes very good.
What do you mean?
Oh, just because, I feel like our biggest fans would love to
They're
laugh
twisted.
at us,
Yeah.
Like after we're done drinking all the bottles, he'd be like, I filtered my shit in there.
I farted in this one, but I won't tell you which bottle.
The grain I used was from corn that I ate and shat out.
Probably not. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, sorry for all the sniffling and the sneezes if you heard that. They'll probably be all edited out, but some of them might not be. Anyway, see you at the end of the break. Cult.
Gosh, they're so spooky,
Passionate, fanatical, zealous.
extreme.
You could say that. You definitely could.
They grow followers like no one's business.
Yes. You know who would never drop a bunch of sarin gas in a subway? Say it out loud.
Who would never drop sarin gas on a subway full of people?
Our sponsors. That's right. We'd like to thank Tilted Tinker Woodcraft and Wizardry. They are a company that makes woodcraft products.
Like plaques with all sorts of hilarious sayings and coasters with sarcastic twists.
All of that dry humor is mixed in with Dungeons and Dragons accessories like dice towers, dice dungeons, and DM screens.
Everything is made here in the USA.
Yes, a family-owned business. They use American wood in American hands.
Nice.
You can visit their website at tiltedtinker.com. Reach out to them at info@tiltedtinker.com. They are Tilted Tinker on all their social medias.
That's tilted, Tinker.
Hey, Jacob.
Yeah.
You know, if I was living during a scary time,
Yeah.
When there was an active cult doing culty, scary things all over the place, you know?
Like terroristic things.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, you know? You don't even know where to expect it. Your rooftop, your toilet, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is so bad. Go to partypatch.com. If you are scared for your life and you don't want to be hungover during it, go to 3shotsin.com. You can find the link there for Party Patch. They sell these awesome patches that you slap on anywhere on your body about 30 minutes before you start drinking, and you don't have a hangover the next day because of all the vitamins.
Yes, you're so much more alert, so much safer.
So if you want vitamins in your system and not nerve toxins, go to 3shotsin.com, click the link for Party Patch, use the code 3shotsin at checkout, and get yourself a discount as well.
You know what makes me want to pour a lot of booze?
What?
The thought that there's so much danger in this world.
Right. No, I get it. Back in the day, you had everyone was just mailing around, anthrax. Ugh. Those pesky days. You didn't even know if you could trust to open your mail.
Right.
But you can trust.
Pour more.
That's right. This is a liquor subscription service that sends liquor to your door in a safe anthrax-free package.
Exactly. You can take your pick: scotch, whiskey, bourbon, mezcal. They have wine now. They now also have liqueur.
Yeah, and rosé.
That's wine.
It's a sparkling wine.
Rosé wine. That's what they call it.
Well, whatever. No one's going to order that one.
Anyway, go to 3shotsin.com, click the link for Pour More, join the club.
That's right. And get you or a loved one a bottle of liquor every single month. All right, break's over, and we got our drinks refilled. So,
Yes. Yeah, I have my
did you go pineapple hibiscus again?
my pineapple hibiscus is here with my vodka in it.
Yeah, I went with more mead. Shocker.
Mead is really good. Or that mead is really good. John's mead.
John's.
Should we give it a name? Elder Mead.
Ooh, yeah, I got nothing.
I called him the Booze Wizard on the Instagram Live the other day. We could call it Immortal Wizard Mead.
Whiz mead. I don't know.
It does kind of look like really dark piss.
Work in progress. A lot of alcohol does.
It's true. But this one doesn't have a name yet.
Except for the girly ones that us men are not allowed to order at the bars. But we make them at home anyway.
Right. Make them, you mean open them and drink them?
No. Make them. Like a Mai Tai.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about like Miller Lite.
No. Dude, fucking like tiki bar drinks are like really in right now.
The big fish bowls. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are like really in right now. So all of our liquor place has like all the shit for it when like they used to not have like the coconut cream and shit like that. And now they do because it's really in and everyone wants it. And I've been meaning to go to buy some because I've been seeing so many fucking drinks.
I want just like a fruity, sugary, heavy pour, like fishbowl tiki drink with like a fuck ton of boba at the bottom.
Ugh, that's disgusting. Why would you ruin a perfectly good drink?
Fucking chewy ass boba balls.
That's disgusting.
Yum.
I hate that. But have you seen the videos on like all these tiki drinks?
I haven't.
Bro, these are heavy fucking drinks.
Okay, but what do you mean by that? Like there's a lot of alcohol in them, or
Yes.
they are physically really large drink receptacles?
Like there's more alcohol than a regular cocktail. Like a fucking tiki drink or whatever. And it was like, oh, this is a blah, blah, blah. And it's, here's how you make it. And it's, yes, they use like coconut cream and all this like sugary stuff. And then they're like an ounce of Jamaican clear rum, an ounce of, spiced rum, an ounce of vodka, an ounce of this, an ounce of this. And it's like 5 shots in this one drink.
Makes it sound like a Long Island iced tea, but you just know it tastes like 1,000
Oh, dude,
times
it's
better.
the best drink. Like when you go to a bar and there's a drink on the menu, it says limit 2. Like that's the one I want. Fuck me up.
Well, all right. On that note, let's talk about some much less exciting things.
What cults?
Yeah,
Okay,
because, they're pretty much always bad. There's no nerve toxin in mine.
that's good.
It is good.
Yours, I believe you talked about them. Was it last recording?
It was. Very last episode. I talked about Rock Terrio and the Anthill Kids.
I recall the Anthill Kids.
So I did some more research on them. Last week the topic was prison. So I talked about how he'd been murdered.
Stop touching your fucking eyeball.
I wasn't touching it.
Oh my God, I saw your nail touch your eyeball.
I wasn't touching my eyeball.
That was so fucking gross.
I wasn't touching.
You're disgusting.
What do you, with these
Disgusting.
fucking talons, you think I'm scraping my actual
that was so
eyeball?
gross.
I'm not touching my eyeball.
It's like when fucking Ace Ventura. It's like Ace Ventura when he was like, he's like moving his eyeball. That's what you just fucking did. Nasty.
I didn't touch my eyeball.
Whatever. I hope you get fucking pink eye.
What do you think I do? I shit and scrape it off with my nails?
I don't know. I don't know what you do in your free time.
I don't. I'm not finger popping my own asshole.
I didn't say anything about yours. Is that Terry's finger?
No, this hand. Anyway, so we talked about how he was murdered in prison. That was the topic last week, was prison.
Right.
I decided I would talk about him this week. Other than some background, it took me a while to find more than just what I talked about last week.
Okay.
And then even after I did, just nothing was consistent, which I thought was really weird because, I don't know, I mean, Rock Terrio is listed as one of the most notorious criminals in Canada, like Canadian history, I guess, because he's dead now. But like his cult was active for 10 years. It was super abusive. There were like a lot of kids in it that, you know,
define kids like
children under the age of 10.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. That's usually pretty important to people. And it was difficult to find all of the information I have now and form some semblance of a
coherent story.
As true a timeline as possible.
Okay.
A lot of the details were mixed up. So take everything you hear with a grain of salt because what I ended up finding online was that a lot of people seem to believe that the Canadian government removed a bunch of stuff from the internet. I'm not really sure why.
Okay.
But they just did it and they tried to cover it up. The comments I was reading, the Canadian government has done this with a bunch of stuff. I don't know how true that is.
What, like they like cover up stuff?
Like cover up stuff. Not because it's even political or government related, but just the fact that it makes Canada look bad. You know, I mean, they're really pushing the maple syrup loving, hockey playing, say your please and thank yous,
elk riding,
that kind of thing.
You know, moose breeding.
Right. Oh, breeding them is probably better look.
Well, I think breeding is also when you like cream pie someone. I think they also call that breeding.
Because you nutted?
Yeah, you nutted in their hole.
Elegantly put.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't know. My Urban Dictionary needs a little brush up, I think.
Well, okay. Let's get into it. Rock Terrio was born on May 16th, 1947 in Saguenay Valley, Quebec, Canada. He was raised in a place called Thetford Mines.
Cool.
His parents were named what I can only assume is normal French-Canadian names in the 40s. They were Hyacinth and Pierrette.
Interesting.
I've never heard a feminine version of Pierre.
Now you have.
Now I have.
Pierrette.
Hyacinth.
I feel like that's so like unoriginal, you know?
What do you mean?
Like Toad and Toadette.
Oh.
Like, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to hear that he hiked Ant Hill, and that's how the name started.
Close, actually. So Hyacinth and Pierrette, they were devoutly Roman Catholic people.
Cool.
According to one source, they were members of the Pilgrims of St. Michael.
Not St. Nicholas?
No, not St. Nicholas. St. Michael, also known as the White Berets. Not really sure what they're about, honestly. It's not a cult. It's kind of like a group that passes out flyers and...
I was going to say, people. It sounds like one of those like slam poetry people.
No.
We're the White Berets.
Well, don't forget, berets means something different in French Canada than
here. Is it a hat?
It is a hat, yeah. But what I mean is here, you think poetry. There, it's more like fancy and official looking. You don't imagine someone in a coffee shop when when you see a beret.
Every time a TV show or a movie takes place in Canada, there's always a coffee shop. They're always in a coffee shop in Canada.
I know. But what I'm saying is people wear berets in more than just coffee shops in Canada.
Oh, they just wear them out?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They just kind of wear them.
This makes me not want to go even more.
Anyway, they were very devoutly Catholic. They were, they encouraged their son, Rock, to also be Catholic and devout. Some resources said that his childhood with them, the way they brought him up, he came to hate Catholicism. But then others said that it was just kind of the start of his fanaticism, or at least the first step towards it. Rock was considered a very intelligent boy.
Okay.
However, he dropped out of school at age 13 in order to devote his time to studying the Old Testament of the Bible. Even at this young age, he was very end of the world obsessed. He went Old Testament, and that's not really when they talk about that a whole lot.
Then he deep dove into the Revelations.
Yeah, I'm sure he came around to it. So he married a woman named Francine Grenier when he was about 20. They had 2 sons, Rock Jr. and Francois.
Cool.
In his 20s, though, Rock became increasingly obsessed with medicine. He had like a ulcer surgery or treatment or something, and that's kind of when it blossomed. I'm not really sure why.
Oh my God, I forgot he was a surgeon and a healer.
We'll get there. Although you do remember me saying it last time.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yes, magically gifted. So he developed a drinking problem and had several affairs behind Francine's back. Not cool. So she eventually left him, took the kids.
Right.
Mid-1970s, Rock converted from Catholicism to Seventh-day Adventist, that church, and remarried a woman named Giselle.
Giselle sounds way hotter.
It is a sexier sounding name, I guess, than Francine.
For sure.
Either way, Seventh-day Adventist, it's basically Western Christianity, Protestantism, but there's just a little more emphasis on the end times. I'm sure that's what drew him in.
Okay.
So in the church, he apparently made very detailed prophecies about the supposed end of times. He, quote...
How do they know he made detailed prophecies?
Because he held seminars where he talked about the end times. He advocated staging, quote unquote, and using, quote unquote, dramatic resources to illustrate what the apocalypse would look like.
It sounds like he put on a play.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Please tell me there's a play.
I'm really not sure. That's about, like I said, I couldn't find a whole lot of detail. This was the most detail I could get, and we're moving through his early life pretty quickly.
Okay.
Anyway, he talked a lot about Revelations, but it sounds like he took like a lot of liberties with it.
It's very easy to do. It
is, yeah. So the Seventh-day Adventists went from thinking he was just kind of this eccentric guy, a little goofy, to thinking like, holy shit, this guy's really authentically insane. But Rock, still convinced a group of people to abandon their jobs and their homes and follow him. They did it while they were at church. He led his seminars at the Seventh-day Adventist church.
He was like a head of the church?
No.
They let him do seminars at the church?
He had just joined. Yeah. I'm really not sure. He was apparently a very charming guy and managed to convince people to let him do things that didn't make sense. And this worked on...
And people quit their jobs and left their world and went and followed him?
Yeah. Yeah, that happened. He did that.
Maybe he is Jesus.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe.
So, anyway, Seventh-day Adventists, convincing people to leave their obligations and responsibilities behind. They weren't super down with that.
Yeah.
Eventually, the church told him that they thought he was crazy and didn't support him or what he was doing. Effectively, he was excommunicated.
Oh, no.
I know.
What is he going to do?
Well, one article claimed that the last straw for the church was Rock storming into church in the middle of service to scream at a minister that he was Satan and then threaten him with God's power, which scared the minister so bad he had a seizure. But then again, a book called Voodoo Killers stated that the last straw for the Seventh-day Adventist Church was Rock convincing a man to take his wife out of the hospital and let him treat her leukemia with grape juice and organically grown produce. She died.
Oh, I was going to say, did it work, though?
It did not. She definitely died.
But now he knows. This is all research. The next time he convinces a man to take his wife with leukemia out of the hospital, don't use grape juice.
Right. Maybe. So he formed the cult officially after his expulsion from the church, and the goal in creating the cult was to form a commune where people could freely listen to his motivational speeches. He had so many.
At the top of Ant Hill.
No.
Damn it.
You're getting ahead of yourself. He wanted them to live in unity and equality and be free of sin.
This sounds like a sex commune. Please. Is that what we're going towards?
So he convinced them all to renounce material things, cut off all contact with loved ones, especially the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
He's just checking off the cult boxes.
Anyone who was not also a member of the cult, because that violated the cult's values of freedom.
Awesome.
Sometime after that, he informed his followers that God warned him that the world was ending February 1979.
Oh, no.
Right. So he moved everybody to a mountainside in the sparsely populated area of Gaspé Peninsula.
Sounds cool.
Right. They decided to build a commune there because they could chill there after the end times.
A commune?
Yes, a commune.
Okay.
At that time, there were 4 men, 9 women, and 4 children following him at that point.
Oh, very small.
So far as I could tell, all of the men were married to... The 4 men were married to 4 women.
4 of the women.
That were also following him. So as they built the commune on the mountainside, he chose the cult's name as he watched them building the commune, because they looked like worker ants.
Wow.
Yeah, not super creative.
That's even lamer than I was hoping. I was hoping he preached on the top of Ant Hill.
No. He just kind of sat back and watched them building stuff.
And it was like ants.
And he was like, my little fucking ants. That's what I'm going to call you.
I feel like it's kind of degrading then.
A little bit, yeah. But you see, Rock wanted to help, but he couldn't. He was sick.
I see.
He told them he had cancer.
Oh, no.
I know.
Hopefully he knows how to cure it.
Well, he didn't die from that, so maybe he did.
Probably.
Apparently at this time, he lost some followers. I didn't get specific names or anything.
Many.
No, he didn't. But some people walked away, I guess. None of the women did, though. Once the commune was finished, he decided, in celebration of this, to rename everyone with biblical names.
Okay.
He then either chose the name Moses for himself, or it was put to a vote, and that's what everyone picked for him. So from then on, that is what everybody called him. He was
Called him Moses.
No longer Rock. But we're going to still call him Rock to avoid confusion. Well, eventually, February 1979 came around, and it was apocalypse time.
And?
Instead, it was March.
Ah.
I know.
Shit.
Yeah. But he explained, though, that Earth's time and God's time are not the same.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he just had to do some recalculating, TBD.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get back to that. He doesn't get back to that.
Okay.
It was after this that Rock annulled all of the marriages amidst his followers. No need for those anymore.
Cool.
And then he took all of the women and as his own brides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty neat trick.
There were 9 of them at the time.
9 women.
Yes. And over the years, he fathered children with most of them, which added up to about 20.
Whoa.
It's a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
It is.
A lot of ants.
He also assigned them all uniforms to better represent their equality, of course. Women were in one color, men were in a different color, and then he had a special color. He's a special guy.
Okay, was his color white?
No.
Okay.
It was kind of like a burgundy.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 1984, the group relocated from Quebec to a new site near Burnt River in central Ontario. At some point, after leaving the Seventh-day Adventist Church, so we're kind of backtracking a little bit, Rock had dipped back into drinking. If you recall, yeah, he had a little alcohol problem in his first marriage, and that didn't bode so well for him. And when he converted to Seventh-day Adventist, they don't allow anyone to drink.
Okay.
It's very stricter diet, than most religions. So I assume that's about when he became sober. But then they booted him out, no need anymore.
Right.
So the drinking started again. Apparently the drinking was what began his gradual decline into violence and abuse. At first, members were not allowed to speak to each other when he was not present, nor were they allowed to have sex with each other unless they had asked his permission first.
Okay.
That, of course, was before he stole everybody's wife.
Right.
No, none of his wives had to ask permission to have sex with him.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He'd get absolutely blasted and give sermons that lasted hours and were completely unintelligible.
Okay.
And he would club people in the head if they fell asleep while he was talking. Punishments were doled out occasionally, and they were for various reasons in the beginning. For example, they raised money for a living by selling baked goods in a town nearby, and members who did not bring in enough money were punished.
That makes sense.
Didn't do a good job selling.
They could have worked harder.
Right. But then he began to inflict punishments on followers that he considered to be straying. He would spy on them, eavesdrop. And then he would confront them later, telling them that God told him what they said. Over time, though, punishments got worse than that. It wasn't just a gotcha.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just a quick club to the head.
No, he punched one of his wives and broke 2 of her ribs because she ate more pancakes than she was allowed. Started making people stand naked in the snow as punishment.
Oh.
He overheard another of his wives, Marie Scrinier, no relation to his first wife, talk about leaving the cult.
Oh, you don't do that.
No, so he forced her former husband to sever one of her toes as a consequence.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. People who
Which
attempted...
toe?
I'm not sure.
Did they donate it to that bar in Canada?
They could have, but I don't think they did.
Okay.
They don't seem like sharers.
Okay, that's fair.
So, people who attempted to leave or showed interest in leaving were handled one of a few different ways. There may be more than just these ways. These were just the only ways that I found.
Is it still a small thing? Like, it sounds like he only has like 10 to 12 adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, the growing number of kids over time, you know, because he's knocking all of these ladies up.
Is he marrying his daughters?
No.
Okay. That's good.
I mean, not good for them that they don't have to marry their dad, but there was a lot of abuse, many different kinds. And the children weren't safe from that. We'll get to that, though. So, people who seemed like maybe they were on the verge of leaving were punished for seeming like they were on the verge of leaving. Maybe by being beaten with a belt or a hammer.
A hammer?
One of the two, either or.
Do you get to choose?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's just dependent on what's closest. Another one is being suspended from the ceiling and having your hairs pulled out one at a time.
Like is that both at the same time? Like you're suspended from the ceiling and they pull your hairs out?
Yeah, after you've been suspended.
So I'm imagining your feet are strapped to the ceiling and your head is hanging down.
Oh, I don't know that you're upside down.
Well, how else would they get to your hairs?
Maybe they're not pulling hairs out of your head.
Oh, no.
Well, and there was one other way that I was able to find.
Okay.
And that's that you would just get shit on by him. He would just take a big old dump on you.
There. That'll make you stay.
That'll learn you.
He just takes a shit on you.
Not sure. If it was just one of these, it really could have been a combination. I guess it depends on how much you seemed like you wanted to leave.
Do you think they just laid there and took it? Or do you think they were held down by other cult members while he took a shit on them? Like, did he shit in front of 6 people?
I think you either laid down and accepted his shit, or if you had to be held down, that would mean a combination of some of these other things. He would shit on you and then beat you with a belt or a hammer.
Would he shit on your chest?
I don't know. None of that was specified.
Okay.
Does he throw it at you while you're suspended from the ceiling? I'm not sure. Either way, his shit might be involved. Other alleged forms of punishment, as they began to grow in intensity, was that members would break their own legs with sledgehammers.
Whoa.
Sit on top of lit stoves, shoot each other in the shoulder, or be forced to eat dead mice, or even poop, animal or human feces.
Whoa.
Yeah, the children in the group were also physically and unfortunately sexually abused. Allegedly, they were held over fires.
Yikes.
Or nailed to trees while other children were encouraged to throw stones at them. And sometimes this was to punish the child, but other times it was to punish their parents.
Yikes.
Yes. All punishments done, according to Rock, were done with the intent to purify his followers and absolve them of their sins.
Well, then I guess it's pretty gracious.
Maybe it is. In March 1980, a mentally unstable man, Guy VA, joined. And considering his mental state, I'm sure he felt right at home.
I was like, I'm sure he was the right-hand man to Rock pretty quickly.
Probably fit in very nicely. He was given the job of watching who Rock called the outsider children.
The children that weren't his?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah. This choice led to the death of a 2-year-old boy named Samuel.
Oh, no.
So this part of the story is mentioned in almost every single resource, but the details seem to change every time.
Okay.
So this was what I ended up, I found an article about this in particular in the Montreal Gazette, which was published December 18th, 1981. So I'm going to base most of this off of that because I feel like that's the most reliable.
Okay.
It was published at that time. Makes the most sense to me. It was actually published right after the trial ended for this boy's death.
Okay. I recall something about that.
Mm-hmm. So Samuel died March 26, 1980. Authorities raided the commune on December 9th, 1981. So it took a while.
Yeah, sounds like it.
They discovered Samuel's burned remains. And arrested Rock and the boy's parents, who were Jacques Giguet and Maurice Grenier.
Okay.
Supposedly, they also removed 17 of the children on the commune and put them into foster care. So they were never brought back.
I mean, that's great.
That's fantastic. During trial, Guy, VA, claimed that Samuel kept crying, so he gave him, quote, a smack in the face.
Okay.
But admitted later that he had actually punched him 6 times and otherwise beat him severely.
A 2-year-old.
A 2-year-old.
Okay.
Rock and Samuel's parents testified they weren't especially concerned about the swelling and bruising on Samuel's face, and they didn't believe his other injuries were bad enough for a trip to the hospital, because there were other injuries. But Gabrielle Lavalle, who Rock had dubbed the cult's nurse, was charged with his care. And her testimony in court made it very clear that Samuel's injuries were very serious, and he died within a few days. Rock testified that he'd decided to burn the body, alleging that he wanted to prevent animals from taking it, but some believe that this was actually an attempt to cover everything up.
Right.
He also testified that Guy VA was never permitted to be alone with the children after that.
I mean, that makes sense.
What wasn't discussed in court was that 6 months after Samuel's death, Rock castrated Guy himself.
Whoa.
And told his followers to tell everybody, if they asked, that he'd lost his dick and balls in a horse trampling accident.
He took the dick and the balls.
So far as I could tell.
A horse accident?
Yes.
You can lose your dick and balls on a horse accident?
They can be squashed into such jelly that they had to remove all the pulp.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We're stopping.
Sorry?
We're stopping.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that made me nauseous.
So I had mentioned a book earlier called Voodoo Killers.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm really not sure why he was in it.
Okay.
It's about crazy people who also did black magic, but there's like a chapter that's just about cults. And I don't really know why the Anthill Kids are in it, but they are. So
Okay.
is like Jim Jones and a bunch of other, notorious cults.
Maybe they think that their skills in persuasion are a form of black magic.
Maybe it's that. So in the book, the author, Joseph Carlson, he claimed that it was actually Guy VA, despite being Samuel's murderer, that he was the one who went to the police about Samuel, and that he only did it because he knew it would fuck Rock over.
Oh.
He had lost his dick and balls, so
That's stone cold. Just backstabbed him.
Yeah. December 17th, 1981, Rock, Guy VA, and the boy's parents were found criminally responsible for his death after undergoing a trial. Rock was sentenced to only 2 years in prison for something like negligence, something like that.
I mean, that makes sense.
Well, after getting out of prison after 2 years, he's just sort of continued right back from where he left off.
Yeah, he find more Anthill Kids.
Yeah. He also had more children. In 1987, one of the women in the group, I could not find her name, left her newborn outside one night during a blizzard.
Uh-oh.
Most seem to believe that this was done as a mercy killing in order to spare the baby of having to live with the anthill kids and Rock.
Why don't I give it to a happy little couple?
Circumstances being what they were, they decided this was the best option. Others actually believe the baby was left out at Rock's command in a failed attempt, or maybe a successful one, to teach it to stop crying. So...
That baby never cried again.
It never did. Either way, this led to another investigation, and more children were removed from the commune and put into foster care.
How many fucking kids does this guy have?
A lot. So even after this second investigation and even more children being removed after another negligent death of a child, there were no repercussions to any of the adults after this.
Oh. Really? That's not a negligence charge or anything?
I mean, it might be, but for whatever reason, the way Canada's law worked at this time, they were legally recognized as a church, and so they fell into this legal gray area. So one source said, quote, officials were legally unable to investigate the adults and could not do much except ensure the welfare of the children. That makes no sense.
That makes no sense at all.
No sense to me whatsoever. But it seems to imply that they were only able to investigate the first time because Guy came and reported it to them. So an adult has to say something, ask for their help type of thing.
You clearly did not explain it well, but it sounds like Canada is just like a safe haven for church shenanigans.
I mean,
for dirty church shenanigans.
At least it was. I don't know if any of these specific laws have changed.
Yikes.
But what that also implies is that someone must have reported the newborn's death as well. But we don't have any other information on that. I couldn't find anything more about it.
Yeah.
Scattered throughout the timeline so far, Rock has attempted suicide a few times.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He's not feeling so great about himself, you know?
But he can cure it though, right?
Yes, he
Surely.
can. He can. So it is unclear how he attempted these unalivings.
Yeah.
Not sure when, not sure how many times. Either way, when none of them were successful, Rock knew that it was because he was a holy being.
This just confirms it.
There really was no other explanation. Obviously, he's a holy being. And it's because he was a holy being that the weird surgeries began. Because, you know, holy beings obviously have healing powers.
Right.
Making them innately, magically gifted surgeons.
Right.
And Rock's surgeries, quote unquote, included injecting a 94% ethanol solution into people's stomachs.
What?
What?
For what?
I don't know. Tummy aches? I'm not sure.
Why?
To heal them. Are you not listening? You clearly aren't holy. Not even a little.
That sounds painful at best. Deadly at worst.
Yeah, it's ethanol. And 94% solution sounds like it's barely diluted. That's not great.
Wow.
Hopefully it wasn't a lot. I mean,
you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. Like, all the kids were taken away, and they keep getting taken away. So everyone that he's doing surgeries on are the shitty parents of those children.
yeah.
So, it's fine. Fuck it. Put the ethanol in them. Double it next time.
He also performed circumcisions
Oh, no.
on the children as well as the adults of the group. In 1989...
that seems like a pretty simple surgery, though.
The circumcision?
Yeah.
Simpler than putting 94% ethanol in your stomach.
Simpler like they've been doing it for fucking centuries, right?
Well, it's also so much less invasive.
Yeah. It's just a quick little... And then, boom, boom. Stitch it up. Call it a day.
I would have no idea. But
Well, I
he did
can tell you it's not like Robin Hood Men in Tights. They don't guillotine the tip of your penis off.
Well, in 1989, this is when we get to a familiar part of the story from last week.
Okay.
Solange Bollard.
Yes.
She complained that her stomach was upset.
Yes. And so he performed surgery upon her.
Yes. Rock, his healing powers told him that it was her liver.
That was causing her stomach to be upset.
Yes, her
Okay.
liver. It was her liver. So he shoved a plastic tube up her butt.
Oh, that's right. And then they blew into it.
No, you're a little mixed up. Allow me. So he shoved a plastic tube up her butt and he gave her an enema with molasses and olive oil. Then he used a kitchen knife and zero anesthesia to cut open her side and pulled out a small portion of her intestine with his bare, unprotected, but holy hands. He then instructed that Gabrielle Lavallée sew her back up, while some other women shoved hopefully a different plastic tube down her throat and then blow and suck air in and out of it. She died the next day. I did assume at first that this was from an internal bleeding because blood had reportedly been spilling out of her mouth, but that could have been from a lot of things, like her biting her tongue or what hopefully wasn't a butt tube scraping her throat on the way down, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, or crazy amounts of infection.
that kind of thing, you know.
Or the removal of
Sepsis,
a part of her
perhaps?
intestine.
Because her intestine was kind of just like shoved back in and her side was sewn up.
It was probably that.
Right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Regardless, Rock was devastated. He really thought her liver would be better after that.
Maybe it was. Just the rest of her couldn't handle it.
I guess not. He actually had her buried, but first covered in vinegar in order to stave off bugs. You see, because he was devising a plan B, if you recall.
He gonna...
You seem to have forgotten.
I seem to have... Was he gonna fuck her?
That's no, nothing like that. Anyway, he remembered that he was a holy being.
And resurrection is possible.
Holy beings have resurrection powers.
For
Very
holy
good,
beings,
Jacob.
yeah.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
He drilled a hole in her head.
Oh, I remember.
And he jizzed into it. He then, based off of some of the additional resources I found this week, had all of the other dudes jizz into it as well, just to be sure.
Oh, no.
Yes, it did not work. They buried her for real after that.
They bukkakied her forehead hole. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes. We're coming to the end.
What was her name?
Her name was Solange Bollard.
Oh, damn. I thought that was Giselle.
No. That would be terribly ironic. It was not.
Oh, man.
So in the late 80s, Gabrielle Lavallée, you've heard her name a few times.
Uh-huh.
During the late 80s, she was treated very harshly, even compared to everyone else. And I'm not really sure why. I couldn't find any more elaboration on that. But I was able to find some of the terrible things that were done to her.
Okay.
Not the reasons, but the things that were done. Some of them were holding a welding torch to her genitals to burn them.
Yikes.
Breaking a hypodermic needle off in her back. Removing, basically piercing her back with a hypodermic needle and then purposely breaking the needle off.
Wow. Why?
I don't know. I tried to find that. It was only mentioned that it happened.
Yikes. That's like really cruel.
Yeah. Another one was holding her down and pulling out 8 of her teeth.
Oh, fuck.
Forcibly.
I take the needle. Never mind.
Right. To the teeth thing. Same.
Yeah, and the like welding torch on my genitals.
You would take a welding torch to your balls before?
No,
Oh.
I take the needle.
Okay.
Yep.
Same.
Fuck. Some medieval shit.
Yeah. So Gabrielle attempted to escape after Rock cut off parts of her breast and struck her in the head with the blunt side of an axe. It's kind of the last straw.
Yeah, that was it.
She was not successful.
Uh-oh.
So she was brought back into the commune. He pinned her hand to a wooden table with a hunting knife.
Ooh.
And then used wire cutters to snip off one of her fingers.
Oh.
I can only assume he left her like that for a bit because she developed gangrene in her arm.
Oh.
And then, it's okay though, Rock healed her by amputating it with a cleaver or a chainsaw. It kind of went either way, depending on the resource. He removed her arm.
Whoa.
In 1989, which was the year of Solange's death, she finally did escape successfully and made it to the police. That was when Rock was arrested and eventually found guilty of assault for amputation of Gabrielle's arm. He was sentenced to 12 years for that. But during that time, a more thorough investigation on all the other shit he got up to was actually possible.
So he got a longer sentence.
So authorities were able to expose more of his abuses, including Solange Bollard's murder, which they classified as second degree, and he was sentenced to life in prison, which is what led to him being stabbed in the neck by his fellow inmate Matthew Gerard McDonald in 2011. And that is when he died. but not before.
If I recall, the inmate that killed him was basically just like, no one wants to be around that nasty fuck, right?
He had a life sentence already, and he was like, I just didn't think he should be alive anymore.
I mean, awesome.
He shoved a shiv he had fashioned himself through his neck, waited for him to die, and then went to guards and said, I killed that guy over there. You should probably go check on him.
It's a good thing that I'm not like a prison warden, because like I would have got that guy like a Big Mac every week for like 6 months.
Right.
You know, like just as a little like present.
Good for you, guy.
Yeah.
He was given, a second life sentence after that, but does it really matter anymore?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
I have unfortunate news.
He did more cult things while he was in prison?
No, but he did bust out a couple more kids via conjugal visits with women who were still somehow loyal to him. So there's that.
That's wild.
And that's all I've got.
Why wasn't Manson offered conjugal visits?
He was.
How did he not have babies?
He may have.
What? I thought conjugal visits had to be with like a spouse.
Nope.
It can be anybody?
Anybody who wants to be with you that you accept.
What? Mm-hmm. Manson can have some little bastards running around?
Absolutely, he could.
What?
He has children who are alive right now.
I know he has kids.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he could have kids while in prison.
He totally could.
What?
If they were able to hide it from the press, I don't know that they would have followed his like harem around to make sure they weren't pregnant.
So, but that would mean that my guy, Soko Shah, whatever the fuck, I forget his name, or I need to see it.
It's okay.
But my cult leader could also have more kids running around because he was allowed conjugal visits.
I mean,
obviously we don't know the Japanese law, but
sure. If they were like hush hush about it because they didn't want anyone to know, if anyone was trying to know, that is, it's not like.
So Manson could theoretically have like a fucking 7 or 8 year old running around right now.
I guess, yeah.
Whoa.
If he had conjugal visits right before he died.
I mean, if I was allowed conjugal visits and I had all these women that wanted to have sex with me, why would you not line one up?
I thought
like,
the nature of his cancer might have made that really uncomfortable. I didn't know what kind of cancer he had, but I thought it was like.
That makes sense.
In the downstairs area.
If you got all these women like lining up, why not be like, hey, let's make this simple. One every other day. Let's book it out.
I don't know. He might have. No one talks about how often he had conjugal visits.
Huh.
He definitely could have. Charles Manson had bitches like sending him nudes in the mail.
I know.
Sending him their panties.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
No. I wonder if anyone sent their panties to Rock.
Probably.
Yikes.
This is what's so strange is a bunch of the resources I found, and that's kind of what makes me think like maybe it was covered up. I barely found any Canadian resources about this. Most of it was like US based websites.
I mean, it sounds like they wanted to keep it hush because their fucking laws against, are
what allowed all of this torture
investigating
to continue.
Religious leaders look bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's changed.
I hope it has.
Maybe you misread the law or whatever.
I didn't even read the law. I couldn't find it.
Well, hopefully you were wrong and that it isn't that gross.
Meaning, hopefully, all of the US-based sites I was able to find information on had
misinterpreted the Canadian law. Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully, most of that was bullshit. But based off of some of the stuff we've heard, not enough of it will be.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Never go to Canada. They're a terrible neighbor. They're an excuse for a country.
Riddled with cults.
And they speak French. You know how we feel about them. Anyway, if you liked what you heard, please like, rate, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can share it with anyone who also doesn't like Canada or France. You can share this with anyone who maybe was a part of a cult for a second here or there. Maybe they were in a sex commune or something really neat like that.
Neat?
Oh, these sex communes are like really interesting. I wouldn't want to be a part of one, but I would love to talk to people that have. You know what I mean?
I guess. What do you think you'll hear that you aren't already anticipating?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I get their ideas as to how they were like so convinced by the cultist leader.
That they were like, forming
like what was it? What made you like think that this man or woman, but it's normally a man. What made you think this man was like Jesus Christ reborn? There's no way you just thought that. He said it, so you thought it was true. Bull. What was it?
What's so interesting about this one?
They got to have something, right?
Like your people had LSD.
Yeah.
LSD
Yeah, that makes sense.
Key.
Makes a lot of sense.
That is what Charles Manson used to get people to think that he was Christ.
That's
reborn.
what Jeremiah used.
Jeremiah
And Mandy?
and Mandy also used LSD. A lot of people did. I talked at one point about an Australian yoga instructor who like stole people's kids from them.
Oh, yeah, I recall.
She did like illegal adoptions or something.
Yeah.
And she like did terrible things to them and stuff because she was like, I'm God and these are going to be the new race.
These are my flock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also used LSD on the kids, you know, like drugs are very helpful during times like these.
I don't know. Maybe they're all on shrooms.
Groups like this.
The sex
So
communes.
far as I could tell, rock had no drug help. Kind of ruled with fear, it seems.
Yeah.
People just kind of did what he wanted.
Well, super interesting. And I'd love to talk to them. And you should share a podcast with those folk.
You totally should. Anyone who just, you know, is interested in cults and never ever wants to be in one, share it with them as well.
I'd like to be in one for like a couple of weeks. You know? It's
No.
the leaving part that I'm pretty worried about.
How am I going to make this work?
Yeah, it never really works out.
Nah, not really.
Yeah. Anyway, visit our website, 3shotsin.com.
We have links on there, links to our affiliates such as Party Patch and Pour More. We also have links to our PayPal single time donation as well as our Patreon subscription, which is so worth your while. We have so much to offer you there, and we really hope you join us next week.
Yes. Next week when we're talking about,
We haven't decided yet, so
you want to just Canada?
no, not at all.
Good. I hate that place. What am I going to talk about? Oh, there was a moose on the road, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh no, there's snow everywhere. Hey, let's play some hockey, eh?
well, spooky season isn't over.
No, we should keep it spooky. We did cult. Let's do
I can only think of stuff that's a little too on the nose, like blood.
think like so a cult movie is right a horror movie with a cult involved, right? Kind of like Mandy. Now let's think what's another good like spooky season movie.
Demons?
Ooh,
No,
I mean we can.
Do you know
Is that
one?
what you want to do? You want to do demons?
I don't know.
Fuck.
Just throwing shit out there.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we can.
You weren't saying anything. Do you have a
I was-
better idea?
I was hoping you were going to say slasher and we can just pick a slasher weapon and that's what we're talking about, you know?
Sure.
All right.
Slash.
Slasher. Slice and dice. Next week's topic is slice and dice. We'll see you there. Shut the fuck up.
3 words.
Yeah,
instead
shut up.
of- Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks. We'll
See
see
you
you
later.
next time.
Bye.
Later.
Anyway, visit our website, 3shotsin.com.
It's great. You don't have to worry about anthrax when you open it.
None because it's virtual.